Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be doing a review for the EFL Team of the Season players. We're going to be looking at all the specifics as we normally do, and I'm going to be mentioning whether some players are worth trying out or whether some players are just going to be fun to use or whether some players are just outright bad and not worth trying out at all. So we're going to get started. If you guys do enjoy the video by the end of it, be sure to drop a thumbs up on it. Definitely helps out the channel a lot. And yeah, let's get started. All right, so there are a few players to get through here. There's going to be some that are going to be very interesting to review. I think this is the whole entire team of the season for the EFL team of the season. So we're going to get started with Ruben Neves, who is a player that I admire because he used to play for FC Porto, and he got transferred to Wolves for a pretty good deal actually. Because I think the owners of the team are pretty good on cash right now. But we are going to be reviewing the player right now. So everything that I say is in regards to the players being EFL players, and obviously EA upgraded their stats to basically make them as usable as possible. So we're going to go ahead and review Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves, the acceleration, sprint speed, agility, and balance, taking everything into consideration, isn't actually that bad. For someone who's going to be playing as a CDM who is from the EFL, his card actually looks quite nice. So dribbling-wise, he won't be that terrible with medium work rates. If we look at his shooting stats, he also has decent positioning, 76 finishing, 96 shot power with 91 long shots. So we know that his long shots are going to be banger, and I'm 100% certain he doesn't have the long shot taker. EA, what are you? What? You need the long shot trait on him. This guy's a god at taking long shots. But anyways, he has passing and long passer, so his passing is going to be phenomenal, which is going to be great to have, obviously, as a midfielder. And he also has playmaker, so passing on the ball is going to be great. He has 93 short passing with 91 long passing. But if we look at his defensive stats, although he does have 81 defending, his standing tackle is good, but his sliding tackle isn't so great. Again, excuse me. The great thing about these cards is that they're still usable. So let's just say, for instance, this was your typical midfielder that EA were to release to the general public. If it was just like someone like someone who's a good midfielder, like Modric, right? This is kind of like an improved version of Modric's card, right? So the card is very usable. Physically, he's actually pretty decent as well. He's got all the physical capabilities that makes him a decent player. His shooting is so good that I would highly recommend that if you were to use this card, to use Anchor on him. Because I think Anchor would definitely bring out the most in Ruben Neves, and he would definitely play significantly better in the midfield role. I think he would be a ton of fun to use. If you're Portuguese, I would probably get this card because it just looks like it'd be really fun to use. Sometimes with Ultimate Team, like for me personally, and I always mention this in all my videos, this card isn't necessarily fully meta, but it's still fun because it's Ruben Neves. So it'd be really cool to just use a good version of his card. The next card we have here is Bamba. So Bamba is a center back from Cardiff City. 70 pace, so he has 67 acceleration, 71 sprint speed, and 43 agility with 45 bounce. So this right off the bat for me has already become an unusable card because the fact that he's 6'2" with very poor jumping and very poor agility, balance, acceleration, sprint speed, he's not necessarily ideal to use. Defensively, he does have pretty decent stats, but the thing that I always mention to people is that these stats kind of become irrelevant if a player can't move left and right smoothly. Now, again, if you're a fan of Cardiff City or you're a fan of the EFL in general, then this card would be okay to try out, but he would be worse than a lot of rare gold cards in this game. The balance and agility part alone just makes his card, for me personally, completely unusable in a center back role because you won't really notice his defensive qualities that much. And it's a shame because he does have 89 aggression with 89 interceptions as well as 99 strength. So it would have been fun to use him. The acceleration and sprint speed isn't that big of an issue considering it is the EFL, right? But it would have been the agility and balance being at the very least 55s or even the 60s to make him more usable. So it's a little bit unfortunate that you can't really move left and right with him that much because his pace is already kind of low. So because his dribbling is already kind of low as well, it's not necessarily ideal to use in my opinion. Next player we have here is Snodgrass. Snodgrass actually is one of the players that we ended up packing in our draft packs. If we look at his card, His pace is 78 and 72, but he does have 85 agility with 75 bounce. Now, considering that he is 5'11", if he doesn't have the right traits, long shot taker, playmaker, takes finesse style free kicks. Yeah, so not necessarily too great to use. Left-footed on the right side. Does he have a 4-star weak foot at least? He doesn't. Again, more of the concept of like if you're a fan of Aston Villa's, then you would use this card. But generally speaking, he doesn't look that great. He does look pretty good physically, which is nice. So on the ball, he's going to be quite strong. I think with this card, right? And this is the fun thing that people can have with this card. Definitely give him a shot at using him as a center midfielder because he doesn't have defensive stats, but he does have physical stats with 75 pace. So 75 pace isn't crazy bad, right? It's a shame that he actually has long shot taker, so that's actually interesting. If you put a right mid in a center mid role and then you play him on 7 chemistry, because that's what would happen, if you were to give him... Which card would I give him? As a center midfielder, since his defensive stats are already so low, his physical stats are very good, I would probably give him Hunter, to be honest, so that his shooting would be significantly better and his acceleration and sprint speed was significantly better. So not a bad card to try out if you're playing him as a center midfield, in my opinion. 7 chemistry is what they get if they get... I think they need the loyalty bonus, so they need to play like 10 games. But as a midfielder, yeah, definitely worth trying out. It's a usable card for sure. This is definitely usable. I wouldn't necessarily say it's usable as a right mid because pace is far too important to have out wide for Snodgrass to not have pace. But it looks like a usable card, not too bad. Sessegnon. So Sessegnon I rate a lot. The reason why I rate Sessegnon a lot is because... So... He's 3-star, 3-star with 5'10". Not the greatest because it's always nice to have at least a 4-star weak foot or 4-star skills because those two things are always things that you're always going to need in your team. But the great thing about this card, right, is that it's his attacking presence is brilliant, right? Because he has 89 acceleration, 94 sprint speed with 99 agility, 99 balance. The way that I would use this card, and hear me out on this because I think it would be very beneficial. The way that I would use this card is I would actually use him as a left mid player, playing in the left mid role, telling him to come back in defense. Because in a 4-2-3-1, that's my favorite formation to use this year because it has such a good balance defensively and attacking wise. Like, I used to love narrow formations, but I just cannot stand them anymore. They just do not work for me at all. But with Ryan Sessegnon being left-footed on the left side with good defensive stats, good physical stats, and really good on the ball, he'll be fantastic to use. You could definitely make the comparison between him and Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané has a Player of the Year card, or Young Player of the Year card, and it's fantastic, right? If we look at this card looks really, really good, right? So the only thing that's missing with someone like Leroy Sané is defensive stats, but that doesn't really matter because he's got the pace, the physical to really make up for it. So that Player of the Year card looks fantastic, right? So in regards to Ryan Sessegnon's card, having those defensive stats as a left mid and telling him to come back in defense, if your left back pushes out of position, but your left mid occupies the position of the left back, Sessegnon is going to do a really good job in that position. So this is a very, very usable card. He has 92 finishing with 92 shot power, as well as 97 composure. So when you're inside the box and you want to do a driven shot, he'll be decent at doing it. Traits, he doesn't have any, unfortunately, but which is very weird, by the way. But yeah, looks like a really good card. This is an ideal left mid. He's kind of like similar to someone like Jordi Alba, I would say. You know, someone who has a FUT birthday card that's a left wing, but really good in the left mid area because he also has a defensive stat. So very, very nice to have. His stamina is 96, so telling him to come back in defense won't be a problem. He'll be running all over the place. Jumping 92 is quite decent to have for someone who's playing as a left mid, so he'll be able to jump really nicely in the air, but his heading accuracy won't be that great. But very, very usable card. You can even start this guy off as a left back in your team because he's English, right? So let's just say, for instance, you wanted to start off with a left mid who's English and a center back that was English. You can actually do that with Ryan Sessegnon's card and play him on 7 chemistry. So it'd probably be one of the most ideal left backs to actually use in the game because, you know, he just looks really, really good in the game. Next card we have here is Kearney, and I'm sorry if I pronounce these names wrong. Now, in regards to this card being an EFL player, and he's from Fulham, obviously, he actually has an incredibly usable card, right? So he has decent defensive stats, not crazy good defensive stats, but they're very decent. He has somewhat of physical stats, but as a midfielder, right, he does have decent dribbling on the ball because he is 81 acceleration, 75 sprint speed, 86 agility, 79 balance. So it's a usable card that's going to feel decent in the game. He's not going to be ideal meta-wise. You're going to notice that he's going to be very, very much lacking in the defensive area in the midfield. You're going to notice the lack of defending and physical stats, right? You're definitely going to notice it. But his passing looks pretty good. His shooting is decent. 80 finishing is not crazy good, but it's still decent. He has 83 composure with 80 finishings, 91 shot power, and 91 long shots. If we look at his traits, he avoids using the weaker foot. So obviously, if you're going to be using him as a center midfield, you have to be using him on the left side. You do not want to use this card on the right center mid side at all. Medium defensive, high attacking, so he's going to be pushing up quite a bit for you. Long shots, 91, shot power, 91. If we actually look at the traits, he does have the shooting and long shot taker as well. Playmaker, so that means that his passing will be significantly better. The takes finesse style for kicks, not really relevant to the situation, but avoids using the weaker foot definitely signifies that if you do end up using this card, you have to use him as a left center mid. He just will not do a good job as a right center mid. I wouldn't necessarily use this card myself, but is it usable? Absolutely. It's definitely a usable card for you to use if you want to have fun with the player and you're a fan of Fulham's card. This one is actually very interesting. I didn't actually see this card. This left wing back is from Wolves as well. So let's actually check out his stats. So his acceleration is a little bit low, which is a little bit unfortunate, right? His physical is 78, but the reason why his physical is 78 is because his strength is lacking, which kind of sucks because the thing about these stats, right, is that if his acceleration was higher and his strength was that, but his aggression was also 80, he would actually be a very nice card to use. The thing about this card, though, is that it's still incredibly usable, right? He's got some decent passing stats in general, so it's always nice to have fullbacks that can make those outside outside curve crosses towards your left mids and right mids. So if you're using him as a player who's playing as a left back role and you want him to pass off to the left side, he'll be okay at doing it, right? Again, not necessarily a player that I would use myself, but if you're a fan of Wolves, again, he would be very fun to use, right? On the ball, he's not bad. Agility and balance are quite decent. Acceleration and sprint speed are quite decent. Acceleration is more important than the sprint speed for a fullback trying to react quicker, but obviously sprint speed is still very much important for a fullback. So if he was like 87 acceleration, 87 sprint speed, and then you gave him an anchor card to improve in his physical capabilities just a little bit, and his defending and his pace capabilities, he would be a very, very usable card in the game for sure. The thing about these stats, right, and I want people to notice this, right, the reason why I don't believe in these chemistry styles is because if you take off the chemistry style, he feels very similar to these stats. In no way, shape, or form do they feel like they're 92 acceleration and 92 sprint speed. Because I've tried these things, right, with certain players, and it just never does feel that way. So that's my opinion. If you believe in it, that's completely up to you, right? The next card that we have here is Diogo Jota, another player that used to play for FC Porto. I was a fan of his. I thought he was a very good player for us, but, Wolves ended up purchasing him. If you actually look at his card stats, he is incredibly usable in a team. Like, he's a very, very good player. And the exciting thing about Diogo Jota is that he is a left wing player that is Portuguese, right? So if you want to make a really cool Portuguese team with him, you can do that. And the best thing about this situation is that you can give him chemistry links with Ruben Neves in your team, right? So if you want to have a cool Portuguese team and you want to put team of the season Ruben Neves in it, Diogo Jota in it, this card is incredibly usable, right? So let's just look at the actual stats. So he has 76 base physical card stats, but we'll look at his specifics. So he's 5'10", with 79 aggression, which is very nice to have considering his acceleration and sprint speed are decent, right? It'd be nice if his sprint speed was a little bit higher, but strength being 70 is okay considering he's 5'10". Stamina 82. If you're going to be using this card, I would probably be using him as a striker, because as a left winger, 82 stamina is actually not that bad, so he can actually do a decent job at it. But on the ball, he's actually quite decent as well. 94 agility with 84 bounce. Very good dribbling stats. Finishing-wise, he's very good as well. 83 finishing with 86 composure is awesome for someone who has a 4-star weak foot whose preferred foot is the right foot, and he has 87 shot power. So inside the box, he'll actually do a very good job. If we look at his traits, he also has the long shot taker and technical dribbler. So those are two very, very good traits to have. If he had the finesse shot trait, this card would be unbelievable to use. I don't doubt that this card would be a lot of fun to use. He would feel very, very good in game, but the sprint speed would be noticeable from time to time, absolutely. But if you're using, if you're starting off with a 4-3-1-2, right, and you want to switch to a 4-1-2-1-2 in game, he'll play really well as a striker. But if you also want to stick to a 4-3-3, I think he would play the 4-3-3 role really well as well. The only problem with playing Diogo Jota as in a 4-3-3 is I think that when you cut inside with him, because those finesse shots aren't that great, well, his finesse shots are going to be decent, but they're not going to be that great because he doesn't actually have the trait, right? But still a very, very fun card to use. I think it'll be most ideally used as, again, as a 4-3-3. 4-2-3-1, he'll actually do a decent job on the left mid role, but I think with 82 stamina and a little bit low sprint speed, he won't do a crazy good job. So if you were to give him a card, you obviously want his shooting to be as good as possible, so I'd probably put a Hunter on him, give him that pace boost, and again, see, 99-96, who knows if it actually does that much, right? And then great shooting stats as well as good dribbling. So this card looks incredibly usable in game. I would definitely try him out. He seems more worth trying out than someone like Gomez because Gomez is too small because Gomez is like, what, 5'4", 5'5". But I think Diogo Jota would definitely be worth it with the 4-star. Decent physical capabilities and very good shooting and very good dribbling. His passing isn't crazy, so again, if you're using this card, I would probably recommend using him in a 4-1-2-2. I think that would be the most ideal position for him, personally. All right, guys, so the next player that we have here is Madison. So Madison's plays for Norwich City, so we're going to go ahead and check out his stats. And wow, this card looks incredibly usable. Traits, he has the shooting finesse shot trait. See, this card would be a fun card to use. Now, obviously, meta-wise, not enough pace. But fun-wise, he has a 4-star weak foot. He's high medium work rate. Sorry, I have to look through that because I don't have my glasses right now. Shooting and finesse shot trait is fantastic to have, by the ways. Although his long shots are 88 and his shot power is 80, this is a very usable card, guys. Let's see how tall he is. He's 5'10 with 99 agility and 93 bounce, so he's going to move really fast on the ball. Reaction time is going to be a little bit poor, but that's okay. Acceleration 86, 81 sprint speed, so again, it'll be based off of the dribbling more than it'll be based off of anything else. Like sprint speed, don't really expect him to really run that much. But if you play him as a cam, he would be really fun to try out. Positioning 81, 87 finishing with 84 composure, which is very nice. Long shots 88 with the traits of actually having finesse shot and shooting, which is very nice to have. So if you want to cut inside and do a finesse shot with him, he'll do a very good job at doing all that. He has 84 short passing, 82 long passing, 93 curve, which is fantastic. Aggression 76 is nice, but his strength does lack, so don't really think he's going to outbody many people. But he looks like a fantastic card to use, man. His free kick stats in general are decent as well, although taking the free kicks in this game are incredibly inconsistent. But this definitely looks like a really fun card to use, and you can definitely link this with Ryan Sessegnon if you want to, like, you know, mix and match a little bit with your squad. But very usable card. Not meta, and I would probably not use them myself, but it still looks like a usable card. I like that they do this to the cards, right? Like, people like Iniesta should have stats like this to make them more usable, right? Like giving him decent pace, giving him decent dribbling stats. Oh, well, dribbling stats Iniesta's good at, but the shooting stats need to be improved. Stuff like that, right? It just makes the cards more usable. So this looks awesome. Next card we have here is Idra. I'm not sure if the V is even pronounced in his name. He is from Czech Republic. So if we look at his stats, this card looks great. Medium work rates, 90 pace with 91 acceleration, 90 sprint speed, which is very, very good. He is 5'10 with 92 agility and 86 balance, which is incredible. 88 positioning for this guy. This guy is a cam card, guys. This is a pretty decent card. Now, he doesn't necessarily have the passing stats. So what you can actually do is you can transform this card into a striker And I'm not sure if there's gonna be any more Czech Republic players, but you could definitely work your way around that for sure. But as a striker, this card actually looks really good. His pace is phenomenal. His physical presence just isn't there in all fairness, but he does have 99 jumping with 75 heading accuracy, which again is quite decent. But 88 finishing with 82 composure, as well as having 84 shot power, is very, very nice to have on this card. So this card is incredibly usable. I wouldn't necessarily use him as a cam, because I think you would notice a difference in those specific areas where his long passing is 80 or his long passing is 70, but his short passing is 82. So at times you will notice that, you know, his passing won't be very consistent. Let's see if he actually has any traits. So he has tries to beat the defensive line. Right off the bat, if you use this card, you have to 100% use him as a striker because that tries to beat the defensive line. If you use this card and you use that as an actual trait, and you tell him to get in behind and press the back line, he will do a very, very good job at doing all of those things. So that's going to be really fun to even use. 84 stamina with 99 jumping as well. So this card is incredibly usable. If I were to get this card, I would probably give him, I would say engine, but you want to make the shooting as good as it possibly can be. So give him as much pace as he possibly can have and as much shooting as he can possibly have, so he can basically be perfect. The reason why you want to improve his shooting is because with shooting being increased and him also having a 4-star weak foot with the finesse shot trait, playing him as a left striker will be very nice, because if you want to cut inside and shoot with his right foot, he'll do a really good job at doing that. If you want to, you know, push into the box and shoot with his weak foot, he has a decent amount of shot power to take a really good driven shot across goals. So this is a very, very nice card, actually. Very, very good card. Next card we have here is Reed. So Reed has 88 pace, 85 shooting, 77 passing, 75 physical, and 83 dribbling. So right off the bat, if this is an old FIFA's, this is 100% a buy. So let's look at the specifics. So as a striker, he is lacking in sprint speed by a little bit, but his finishing in general is really poor because of 69 composure. Ooh. That's a tough one, man. Having finishing being 87, but then having your composure be 69 is not a great thing to have. The composure is so important in FIFA nowadays because of how overpowered defensive AI is. Because defensive AI is so overpowered, the players always feel that composure when someone's putting pressure on them. But if we're going to be looking at specifics, other than the composure, 93 acceleration is very good. So that means on the ball dribbling wise, he's going to be very good because he also has 94 agility with 99 bounce. If we look at his traits, he has the flare trait. So nothing special. He'll just be able to do those fancy passes and stuff, which is all right. But passing wise, he's not bad for someone who's going to be playing as your striker. 79 short passing. With 77 long passing is quite nice for someone who's, again, playing as a striker. It's just that composure, man. The composure puts you off so much. But he does have decent jumping and decent stamina, so he'll be able to win the ball in the air sometimes, but he won't be able to head the ball that accurately, right? So he looks like an okay card. Work rates are medium, so if you want to have fun with him, you could also try him out as a center mid for someone that's going to be running all over the place. 5'6" height as well. Not a bad card, but it's that composure, man. That composure being 69 is such a big issue in terms of dribbling, shooting, and all that stuff. So that really sucks. Dak. So Dak, Blackburn card that actually has very good base card stats. So cam-wise, sprint speed isn't there. 82 is okay, so it's usable. Very usable. On the ball, he's going to feel fantastic. He has takes finesse style free kick, so the traits are irrelevant. On the ball, he's going to feel fantastic with 90 agility, 95 bounce, but he won't do the technical dribbling because he doesn't have that as a trait. But he will move very nicely on the ball. He has 95 composure with 86 finishing and 88 shot power. Does he have a 4-star weak foot? And that's where he lacks, the 4-star weak foot. Now, this card is going to be very right foot oriented. And you can actually use this card as a center mid and have fun with him because he does actually have very, very nice physical capabilities, right? 91 aggression is fantastic to have for someone who's going to be playing as a midfield role to be able to catch up to people. So if you want to use this card as a midfielder, as a center mid, he would actually play the role quite decently. Although he lacks in defensive stats, which will always be noticeable no matter what anybody tells you, he does have a very usable card. Good stamina, good jumping. So, you know, not bad. He doesn't, his strength 75, which is all right. But if you want to really make this card good, again, typical, right? And I really wish that the chemistry styles did this much. I really wish they did, because it would be fantastic. If you give him a hunter card, apparently that's what the stats that he has. So definitely worth trying out as well. Mulgrew right off the bat with 61 pace and 48 balance. Ugh. Sorry. But the interesting thing about this card is that he actually has insane shot power and long shots. He has 98 long shots with 99 shot power, which is very, very interesting. He doesn't have the long shot taker, but he does actually have his stats to basically be maximized in long shot potential. Now, this is a card you would use for fun. Defensively, he's not going to be very good for you because of his acceleration, sprint speed, agility, and balance. Defensive stats are decent. Physical stats are okay at best. 62 jumping with 6'3" is not the greatest. He is tall with 87 strength, which is nice, but the lack of jumping when someone sends it across isn't going to be very ideal to use. He does have a 4-star weak foot, which is interesting as well, because if you want to take a shot with his weak foot on a long shot, it would definitely be worth trying out as well. Next card we have here is Pitman. So Pitman from Portsmouth. He plays as a striker. He doesn't have the pace, so obviously right off the bat, no questions asked, you got to give him a hunter card, right? This card, I wish I knew if they actually, I just really don't think that they're upgraded. I keep saying this in all my videos because I really just think it's true. They don't upgrade these cards by this much in the pace. I know that for a fact, right? But anyways, if you think that they do upgrade by that much, we're going to go ahead and reset. The pace is lacking. On the ball, he's not going to move that badly. He does have the finesse shot trait, which is very nice to have for a striker. He does have a 4-star weak foot as well. Very, very beneficial to have. 99 heading accuracy with 85 jumping while being 6 foot, so he'll actually be able to head the ball really nicely into the back of the net. Would be amazing if he had the power header trait. That'd be incredible to have. Passing stats for someone who's playing as a striker, very, very nice, and his physical stats are fantastic. 77 aggression is a little bit low, but again, 77 aggression is not low. It's low because of his pace, but if his pace actually ends up being this, 77 aggression is fantastic to have. But again, I just don't think that they're upgraded by this much. But again, another very good card, and all round, he's pretty good. If the hunter stats actually did this much, he would be a fantastic card to use in the game. Yeah, he's missing the weak foot for sure, but he just looks really, really good to use in anybody's team, really, if they actually gave him that many stats, right? Next card is Marriott. So Marriott is an interesting one, because I think this card has been somewhat of a FIFA legend for a while now, right? Because he's always had like the pace and stuff, right? Because if you look at his silver card, he actually has like pretty good pace for someone who is a silver, right? So we're gonna look at the specifics now. Physical stats, he does have strength, stamina, and jumping, which is nice to have. So in the air, he'll actually be able to win the ball sometimes. 99 jumping with 5'8". So the 5'8" height hinders the jumping a little bit, but still very good. His heading accuracy is fantastic. So if you cross the ball into him, he's not going to be that disappointing. Now, the thing that is incredibly disappointing with this card is the passing being 62. That's going to be very noticeable. But again, if you use this card, it would be more ideal to use him in a 4-1-2-2 or a 4-3-1-2 in a narrow formation that he has, you know, people around him that he can lay the ball off to, pass the ball, make certain plays around them, right? But physically, he's pretty decent. The 43 aggression will hinder the acceleration and sprint speed a little bit in terms of winning the ball back or challenging someone when you do like a wide pass in behind someone's defense. On the ball, he's going to feel decent because he does have 98 agility. The balance is not too relevant in this situation because he is 5'8" height. And his shooting stats are quite decent as well. The thing that lacks with this card, again, is the composure being 79, considering it is a team of the season card. But, you know, if you're a fan of Peterborough United, English players in general, then, you know, it's worth trying out. You can't go wrong with 33K with a card like Marriott, right? Next card we got here is Brian. So Brian, right off the bat, you don't even need to look at his stats, would be a fantastic left back to use, because with the left backs, it's all about the pace and somewhat of the defending stats and how he feels on the ball. Now, one thing you will always notice is that his aggression is 61. Aggression isn't the greatest for a fullback being 61. I'll show you guys an example here, right? With Jordi Alba, he has 79 aggression. Now, with Jordi Alba's card, that's what makes him an absolute monster when he's battling against people. Now, if we look back on this left back card, 61 aggression kind of sucks because in terms of battling against opposition, like if you're up against like the Ronaldos and stuff, you want to be able to outbody someone due to aggression being really good. But other than that, this card looks like an all-round good card. Other than the fact that his aggression is low, his defending stats is very good for a fullback. Dribbling on the ball is fantastic. Two things that might be the problem with him, actually. 5'6" height, because aggression's not good enough, and then 61 aggression, obviously. But, dude, he's got some decent shooting stats, considering he is a left back. So if you tell him to, like, you know, get in behind, or tell him to always overlap on the attack, he's going to do a decent job at doing that. His passing stats aren't terrible either. Not ideal, but they're not terrible. I've used Antonio Valencia, which I think has worse passing stats. He looks like a good card, man. 4-star weak foot as well, so you can cut inside and make a pass with his weak foot, or cut inside and take a random shot if you really want to, right? So he looks like an incredibly usable card. This card looks really good. English as well, so you can get some good chemistry links there with English players in your team. Powell, being playing for Wigan Athletic, has 82 acceleration, 77 sprint speed. This guy's been playing as a cam, so 73 agility isn't the greatest. He does have good balance considering he is 6 foot, but the agility will make him move a tiny bit slower, not as agile on the movement, but in terms of dribbling, he'll be okay at it. If you look at his traits, he has a long shot taker, so that long shot taker will obviously be decent to have. Not crazy good, because his long shots are 85 with 80 shot power, 82 acceleration, 77 sprint speed, so on and so forth. He has no physical capabilities, not whatsoever, but they're like okay. He is 6 foot, so they're not terrible, but the only good thing about this card, playing him as a cam, would obviously be the shooting, but very, very linear to your play if you do end up doing that. I would probably recommend using this card more as a center mid for the fun concept, because again, he doesn't really have defensive or physical capabilities, but for the fun concept of, if you're a fan of his card, probably I would probably use him as a center mid just to make the card a little bit more usable, in my opinion. So the next card that we have here is Kari or Carey. So if we look at his card stats, the finishing and the composure is already far too low, but fun-wise, if you like players who are from Ireland and from Plymouth Argyle, I'm not really sure the exact name, but 95 acceleration with 81 sprint speed, so he's more about the dribbling than he is about the running aspect. Agility 92 with 73 balance. The 73 balance is not that crazy relevant, considering he is 5'8", but it'll always be relevant, but it's not crazy relevant, right? 92 agility will make him move on the ball a little bit quicker as well. He does have good long shots in general with no weak foot. Yeah, this card isn't really great to use, to be honest. It's more like a fun card to use. Doesn't even have any good traits. He has long shot taker, playmaker, so his passing will be decent, his long shots will be decent. That's like very generic, right? Especially since you're playing him on the left mid role, and I think he's right-footed too. He is left-footed. Oh, he's left-footed. Okay, so that actually helps a little bit. Considering that he's left foot with high work rates, playing in the left mid role or the left wing role wouldn't be crazy bad, but I wouldn't necessarily use this card myself. Next card we got here is Junior Hoylett. So Junior Hoylett doesn't have any stats, because I just remember that this is the card you get for winning the tournaments, which we'll be doing. I think it's on May the 2nd or May the 3rd to get this card. So obviously he doesn't have any stats yet. Goalkeepers I don't really review because it's pretty generic. Like whatever the base card stats are is whatever you see: positioning, speed, reflex, diving, handling, kicking, right? Akinfenwa, a lot of people are going to use this. It's funny because I say a lot of people are going to use this card, but there's not going to be that many people using this card, right? Because 60 pace, the shooting is okay. On the ball, he's going to move awful. And the 99 strength, considering how many players have like 90 strength with 90 aggression, like you're really not going to notice that he is the strongest player in the game, right? So, but, you know, 36.5K for Akinfenwa, who is a FIFA legend, right? You can't really go wrong with it, right? The next card we got here is key right off the bat, I would consider this already unusable because the pace is far too low. Although on the ball, he would move quite decently considering that he has 95 agility and 99 balance, but his dribbling is really poor, so that could actually outweigh the agility and balance a little bit. Physically, he's okay, but reviewing this card kind of just seems like a waste of time because not really that great. Shien, this actually might be an okay card to review. This card is from Luton Town, from EFL League 2. So more, again, if you're a fan of the card itself or the player or the team more than anything. Physically, he's pretty good. Passing, he's pretty good at. On the ball and off the ball, he's actually quite nice as well because he has 89 agility, 88 balance with 83 aggression and 79 interceptions and stuff, so not too bad. Obviously, if you use this card, recommend using a shadow on him, 83 pace, and then increasing the defensive stats a little bit will definitely help him be a little bit better. But if they actually increase by this much, having this with 89 agility and 88 balance will actually make him move left and right really nicely. And the fact that he has decent dribbling as well as good passing will make him a very interesting card to try out for sure. Goalkeeper, and the next one is Isa. I'm not really sure how to pronounce the name. He's from Sudan, Cheltenham Town. If we look at his card, it's not a usable card at all because he has 62 composure. So everything else, it's composure after the latest gameplay patch, which was in October or so. Composure is too big of an influence to make a player good or bad. So because his pace is awesome, but his composure sucks, he's not really going to be too big of a card to use in my opinion. But that is going to conclude the video for today, guys, in terms of the Team of the Season review for the EFL League. So there's a lot of players in here that are somewhat usable. This is not just for the EFL. I think this is for the Championship, EFL League 2, League 1. Oh, I think it's for the EFL League 1, EFL League 2 because Akinfen was in here, and for the EFL in general, right? Right, so it's for all three of them. Okay, so I got it now. But that's pretty much going to conclude it for today, guys. A lot of usable cards. I would say 4 or 5 are pretty good from the EFL, but the rest is like if you really want to use them, if you're a fan of them and whatnot. But yeah, that is going to conclude the video for today. If you guys did enjoy it by the end of it, be sure to drop a thumbs up on the video. Definitely helps out the channel a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.